Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining the call. We're really excited about this opportunity to really show you a lot about how Sportsbox can be used beyond just a data tracking device. Obviously, we believe the data we're providing is just extremely powerful, but we want to take this to the next level and really show you how certain case studies that we've seen amongst users of Sportsbox, how powerful it has been as a way to monetize and increase the revenue of their businesses. So this first slide, I'm just going to kind of go over a few slides real quick, just kind of show you some different case studies and how different facilities, which may or may not kind of fall into the category that you are in. And if there isn't, and you want to ask questions on a category that you don't see here, please drop that in the questions in the chat function, and we'd be happy to answer it later in the call. So I'm going to go over three scenarios here. The first scenario is basically a coach A. We're talking about something, a type of coach that is looking to get into remote coaching business, somewhat similar to like a skillless coach. So perhaps you already have a business where you're doing a lot of in-person lessons, but maybe during the day, you can see that you're probably doing 2 or 3 hours of lessons early in the day in person. Then you have a lull in your day, somewhere between maybe like 12 to 3 or 4. And then the in-person lessons begin to pick back up towards the end of the day between 4 to 6. So how do you maximize that time that where you're not having a lot of in-person lessons and you can shift that focus to remote coaching? And that's where the platform can be extremely powerful. And in this case, this is a case that we have that we gathered, and one of our coaches was very kind enough to provide their data to show that with the use of Sportsbox and the conversion rate from single lessons to monthly or annual plans was up 56%, which equated to an additional $10,000 per month in revenue. Coach B, this type of scenario is where it's an indoor golf center where it's more concentrated around creating memberships to their facility. And this case where we saw a 27% increase in memberships. And this is all done through the student engagement. And this type of revenue increased their business $19,000 per month in revenue. And then finally, a private club that has seen a relatively stagnant number of members are actually taking lessons. And this facility saw about 10% of their membership taking lessons, and then the other 90% not taking lessons at their facility. And using Sportsbox has increased their membership usage of their lessons at the facility from 10% up to 17%, which equates to $70,000 in lesson revenue. The lesson revenue beyond the lesson revenue that we've seen at these private facilities is also that when you can get these students to engage and be part of the facility, the food and beverage is up, the member events are up, and it really brings a lot of interaction between the membership that wasn't taking lessons before, and now they have a relationship with the pros, and it has really created a really neat relationship that is all driven through taking lessons and utilizing Sportsbox to do that. So how did these facilities do this? The key aspect to all of this is the student engagement. If you can engage your student to take lessons, to want to improve, to enjoy the game of golf, this can all be done through the Sportsbox platform. So that's where going beyond just data-driven numbers and really use the platform to engage your students, we're going to show you how this can be done. So the first thing is, on our mobile platform, we have a feeds function. This feeds function is designed for you as a coach and the student to interact with each other. I have an example over here to the side based on one of the students conversating back and forth between me about the results that he's seeing, the information that he's trying to go through, and trying to make those improvements in the swing utilizing Sportsbox. Students will comment and like posts and have a place for them to review their analysis that you provide and go over any screen recordings that you provide to that student as well. And when the students, they're more likely to practice when they engage with the coach in the platform. So I first and foremost highly recommend using the feeds function. Simply just liking the post or providing some words of encouragement. This will really be the start to getting your student to practice within Sportsbox. The second step is, after you've gone through the analysis and you have a chance to analyze the player's swing, it's imperative that you set goals. Because once you set a goal for the student, this is something they have a target to work towards, as opposed to just saying, turn this much or sway a little bit less or any of these generic type of feedback. Now you can say, I'd like you to turn from 80 degrees to 90 degrees, or I'd like you to sway from 2 inches to 3 inches. Now it's something that is very specific and allows them to work towards a very specific goal. And then finally, what brings this all together is a very new function that we have in the app called Monitor Mode. If you haven't tried it yet, I would encourage everybody to go and try it. You can see in the pictures that I have to the side, you simply set up your camera and it faces towards the player. And this is done on iPhones only at the moment. It's accessing your face on camera. And after each swing, they will immediately get feedback on anything that you set as their goal, whether it's sway or turns or any of that information. So monitor mode is going to bring this all together and allow the student to practice with data-driven decisions and practice with some type of purpose towards the goals that you have set in place for them. Excuse me. And the result of this, you're going to accumulate, quote unquote, a medical history of the student's swing. And what I mean by that is you're going to have ability to track the progress through the data that you collected through the swing. So it's not just a 2D video. Now you have trackable progress, and that's going to be their medical history. So that's going to be something that allows you to really track how well they're turning. If they go off to a tournament and they play in a lot of wind and they start to rotate less, they start to lean a little bit more, and it starts to affect their golf swing, you can bring them back to when they're playing their best. And that's where this medical history or this tracking progress of their swings is so important, because you have the data behind it, all done in 3D. Second, you have the student can quantify the progress you make within the swing. So you can show a comparison before and after, show them what they're doing at the beginning of the lesson package that you're having with them, and show them the progress throughout their entire course of their instruction with you. And then finally, the students will make progress quicker because you have the goal set in place. They know exactly what they are trying to work on. And in that's going to be done through the monitor mode, through the swing analysis, and taking videos with the 3D trackers on and being able to work towards those goals effectively. So next, I'm going to go into the app, and I'm going to show you a student that I worked with recently this past week. And I'm going to kind of show you the full way of how I effectively use this for one of my students. So Leela used to live in Houston, and he picked up golf in Houston a couple of years ago. And he recently moved out to California to chase his dream to be a professional volleyball player. And on the side, he's really taken golf as a wonderful hobby to kind of take him away from the sport that he's competing at. And this is an opportunity for him to practice and grind. But recently he reached out to me and said, "Edwin, I'm really struggling with my golf swing. I'm missing everything out to the right. I have no idea what's going on. I'm trying everything possible and nothing's working." And so I asked him, "Why don't you send me some swings inside the app?" So I set him up with a free student account. And in the free student account, those students can take up to 5 swings for free per month. So you can see he's taken 5 swings in the app on August 21st. So I'd like to show you the analysis that we did. So typically what I like to do is I just look at the video and try to look at different key positions and develop a theory on what I believe is going on. So I will go to his top of his swing first, and pretty glaringly, I saw that his chest was bending back and swaying a pretty significant amount towards his lead side. And then as we move him into his downswing, his chest keeps diving forward, and you can see that in his sway movements. And now his chest is way out in front, arms are stuck, club's stuck behind him. And pretty immediately, it was a very easy sign that this is the reason why he was blocking or slicing a lot of shots out to the right. So once we had this diagnosis, I provided him an analysis, a screen recording, and provided him my feedback. So you can see here, I posted that directly into his student locker. And you can see it's about a 2.5 minute video here going over that, and I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to click on the comment section here on the feeds page, and I'll read out what I wrote to him. I said, "What's causing your steep move and the block right is how your chest is swaying and bending back towards the target at the top of your swing." And then I asked him to see my video explanation for a more in-depth analysis. And in there, you can see he also referenced one of the players that he really likes to try to model his swing after was Max Homa. So I showed him a comparison between his swing and where Max is. And you can see even in this 2D screenshot that the position of where he's at the top is very different. And then his comment back to me was, "Wow, that's so interesting to see. Heading to the range now. I got those drills you sent, and I'll be working on them at home." And then he also commented saying, "That's why I can't move through the ball, and I hit it fat." And wholly eye-opening. So that's a really, really fun interaction that us as coaches really love to strive for. When you can get that student engaged and really appreciate the information that you're providing, this is where I think this is the hook. And this is where I believe it all begins. And then simply, you can see liking the post, posting some drills that we have from coaches, and giving him something to work on. So then we set goals inside his student locker. And how you set a goal, there's a bullseye icon in the top right corner. And I set the goals for him around pelvis sway, chest sway, and the sway gap at the top. And I wanted him to work on those goals. So when he went out to the range, you can see on August 22nd, a day later, he's doing monitor mode. And this is what a monitor mode session will look like. And I'll use this one right here on August 22nd. He took 26 shots on the app in 31 minutes. Essentially, you just let it keep rolling, recording, providing you instant feedback. And I'll swipe over here to the issue that I really wanted him to focus on, and which was the chest sway at DCH, which is downswing club horizontal. So you can see every single shot is being plotted. The really neat aspect of all this is you can actually click on any one of these dots and you can see it in 3D. So let's go ahead and do that together. So here, I like to kind of run his swing through. take a look at the top, and now I can actually compare this to his very first swing that he sent me. So in the upper right corner, there's a comparison, which is the rectangle with a line through it. So I'm going to reference that in 3D so we can see his numbers 3D side by side. And you can see here, I'm going to reference it to his swing on August 21st. And then let's match up those key positions together. And I want you to focus on the three numbers in the middle bottom of the screen: pelvis sway, chest sway, and sway gap. So pelvis sway, slightly positive before at 0.4, and then slightly negative after. So not a major change here, but approximately, close to an inch difference here. But the really big key difference here is the chest sway and the sway gap. And I want to point those out here. So I'm going to throw some visuals on the avatar here so that you can see the sway gap. So the sway gap is the measurement between the center of the chest and the center of the pelvis. And we've talked a lot about sway gap and how important it is. You can see here, because he's leaning his chest so far back in the green avatar here on the right, the sway gap is a positive number, which means his chest is out in front of his center of his pelvis. And if you see the purple avatar on the left, which is the swing monitor mode session that he was working on to increase that sway gap, you can see that blue center line from the chest down compared to the yellow line from the center of his pelvis is now chest is behind the pelvis, and exactly what we wanted to work on. And more impressively, look at the difference in the chest sway numbers. That is a 4-inch difference from negative 1.5, where it's at now, to where it was before at positive 2.5 inches. So there's a significant change in his movement patterns here. And he was able to really hone this movement pattern in through monitor mode. And this is the way you engage your students to practice with true purpose and with numbers that are being shown to him immediately after each swing. So this is a powerful mechanism here. He told me he was hitting it much better. He started seeing the ball flight straighten out, even draw a little bit, at times even hooking. So he really wanted to kind of dial this in even a little bit more. So he practiced. He did another practice session on monitor mode, and I'll quickly show you that as well. So here on August 27th, you can see he spent 14 minutes, much less time because it wasn't as difficult for him to achieve these results. And you can see those plotted results here as well. So you can kind of swipe through and look at all those numbers, and then you can see it again, those chest sway numbers. Every single one of those are in range. And I want to click on this comment section because this is the proof in the pudding. This really shows how that coach and student interaction really makes it such a powerful method for you to engage the student and have them work with real authentic information. So you can see here, Lita said, made massive progress today. Swing felt great. Ball striking was great. Flight was great. And that's what we want to see. So you can see here, in less than a week time, this student was able to make significant strides in his golf swing and really feel like he's moving forward in the right direction, as opposed to just chasing different methods and different results and not really seeing anything change dramatically. And with Sportsbox, we're able to see that. The final thing I want to wrap up with is how do you monetize that? Because how do you convert somebody from a free student user on Sportsbox to a paid student user on Sportsbox? And how those coaches, coach A, B, and C, those three scenarios are presented to you. All of them are baking in this Sportsbox student credit that we're going to go through next. So the student credit system is you can purchase these 3D player student credits from us at a wholesale discounted rate, and then you can build it into your pricing structure. And how you can do that is through a couple of different methods. You can, one, either increase your lesson fee, or two, you can build some type of membership to you on a monthly or annual basis. And we've seen those monthly type of memberships range anywhere from $200 to $350 a month, and you can customize that membership to whatever you like, whether it's a in-person lesson, whether it's fully remote, analysis, goal settings, drills. Those all can be done inside the app, and that's what we're encouraging all of the coaches to do. So if you can create a type of membership program directly to your business, this is the most empowering method to increase the revenue. So I'm going to show you how this can be done. You can see my coach account has 5 credits here. And Richard, one of my students here, is coming to the end. And if I'd like to renew him and he's going to pay that monthly membership, simply all you need to do is click the renew, and then you can add 1 monthly credit. So you'll see here, I'm going to submit, and we're going to add 1 monthly credit to him. You can see it says successful. And now Richard, if I click on Richard here and do a quick search for him, you can see now Richard has 34 days in the app moving forward. And we can then continue with that lesson plan and provide him more analysis, update his goals, and have him continue to practice within the app. Awesome. So happy to open this up to any questions. If anybody has any questions, I'd love to kind of help walk you through anything that you may have.
Doesn't look like we have any questions just yet. So Edwin, thank you for that. Very powerful to see the Sportsbox being used to not only help coaches with their lesson experience, but also to help monetize their business as well. And this adding student credits is a very important way to, one, get your students more involved with Sportsbox so that they're more engaged in between lessons. That it improves their lesson experience, and it gives them the increased incentive to practice on their own. So when they get into the paid subscriptions, that's when they can take unlimited swings and really have a great interaction between the coach and the student. So great way to monetize that. Looks like we may have a couple of questions here. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, so it looks like all the questions so far are kind of talking about the price structure of the student credits.
Yeah, great question. So if the student was going to subscribe to Sportsbox directly, they could subscribe to the 3D player, which is the player version, the student version of Sportsbox, for either $16 a month or $110 a year. However, we find that the engagement and the use of Sportsbox is significantly elevated when they do that through the coach. So simply, you can go here and buy credits, and we have the packages set up here. And we're willing to, if you like to, after this call, would like to kind of tailor the type of credit packages that you'd like to do, we can work with you accordingly on this. But I'll give you kind of a baseline on this. So these credits will range anywhere from about $5 per credit up to $10 per credit based on the number of credits that you decide to purchase. So if you purchase them at, let's just say, on an average of about $6 per credit, that means you can charge an additional $10 on top of that, so technically $16. So if your normal lesson rate, just hypothetically, was $150, you can bump that up to $165 or $166 as an example. If you have a membership rate and you're trying to create a package, that membership rate can be tiered accordingly based on what you would like to provide. So building in or baking in these credits, the use of Sportsbox through this credit system will significantly engage the student. We've seen that when these students are on this credit system, the time frame that they're in Sportsbox and working with the coach, average time is well over a year. If the student subscribes only to Sportsbox and gets a little bit lost in the app, the time frame is only about 3 to 4 months. So that is why we believe that this system is going to be will truly empower you as a coach and for your business to be able to maximize this and monetize this accordingly.
Great, thank you, Edmund, for that. And we've also seen too some really effective tools and practices with coaches is either if you're at a private club or a public daily fee facility, holding kind of like a demo day, but it's more of a 3D assessment day for your members or your customers, and getting out in the range and having group sessions with your customers and running them through a 3D assessment kind of in a group setting, so that one, new members can see the availability of 3D that you're providing to them and the power of 3D, which helps get more members into lessons and more engagement from your members and your customers. Some coaches are charging a fee for that day, so they're monetizing that as well. But it's just a great way to engage your customers and your members in a fun few-hour session to get them all interested in 3D, introduce to 3D, and obviously the hope is to get them to take more lessons and to see the power that you're using 3D for. So
yeah, a couple of
question.
Yeah, to follow up with what Chris just said, a couple of really neat methods of testing this out. We know this is something that many coaches will want to test out. So what I would encourage is, if you have, we can use a private facility, for example. If you have a membership and you're trying to increase your number of members using taking lessons, what you can do is do a mass email out to your membership saying, hey, we've introduced this new technology. The first 10 people to sign up, we'll give you a free swing analysis inside the Sportsbox to give you a kind of a taste of what this is. And we've seen the conversion rate of those from just a one quick free analysis into actual lessons is tremendous. I believe we've seen north of 75% of those converting into actual lessons. So that is a big reason why we've seen that big jump in the usage. So you can email or message your membership. If you're on social media, you can very simply put that out there saying, I'm going to do a giveaway. First 5 people to direct message me. We'll do a swing analysis. All we need is your name, email, height, gender, and right or left-handed. Once you have that information, you add them as your student inside the system, and then that will allow them to download the free student app and then have you connected them as your student within the platform. And once you can do that, they take a swing inside the Sportsbox. Then you can go through the flow that we just described earlier.
We have a question from Brian Jones. Edwin, can you see that question? Edwin, you there? You're on mute if you can hear me.
Yep, sorry. Can somebody read the question to me?
It says, I'm a director of instruction at a private facility and would use it for outside non-members. How would I get the word out to non-members?
Yeah, that's great. So I have a couple of good ideas for you. If you haven't gone through our level 1 certification program, I would highly encourage that. Once you sign up through for the level 1 certification, we will list you on our website as a certified coach for Sportsbox. On there, you can customize it whatever you want. You can say I'm in person only, I'm in person and remote. So for us to list you on our website so that the entire public can see, we can have you listed on there if you complete our level 1 certification. That's one method. Social media is obviously extremely powerful. We see a lot of leads come through social media. They may see something that's a very neat hook that you provide. Maybe it's a quick tip that you want to provide. Show the use of Sportsbox in that quick tip. Social media is an extremely powerful platform to drive non-members to your facility taking lessons.
Yeah, and I'd also add too that with private facilities, there's a lot of member guest tournaments. There's a lot of guests that are playing on a regular basis. So work with your club to get the guest information and do a follow-up email communication out to them, introducing yourself, talking about Sportsbox, offering packages that you can do remotely with them or on the side, whatever the business is. But yeah, a good way to get after the non-member side is through the guests that come through.
Next question, can the athletes use the credits purchased via their initial pro with another pro?
So the student can connect to multiple coaches. So for example, I'll just quickly show you just an example. So I'm going to log out of my coach account and I'll log into a demo student account. And you can see this demo student account is connected with myself, a coach here in Houston, where I live, Donnie Massengale, and then a demo 3D coach account. So the student can be connected to multiple different coaches. And that's where we've seen to be very effective from the collegiate side of things, high schools, because we have collegiate programs, high school programs using Sportsbox. So when we see this, coaches will work together. Like a high school coach may not be an instructor, but has a good eye for it and can review these swings in Sportsbox. And if they're connected to the high school or collegiate coach, they can also be connected to their coach back home from where they normally take lessons from. And the coach will have access to the student's account on their own platform. So the student can have multiple coaches.
Very good. Thank you, Edwin. We don't see any more questions that you guys have? Throw them in the chat right now. What we want to do is, there's obviously a lot here when it comes to Sportsbox and learning the system of Sportsbox, how to coach with it, how to monetize with it. So we'll send a communication out to all the coaches, the people who have joined this call, and we'll give you our contact information. For those coaches that are already subscribers to Sportsbox, reach back out to us and we'll provide you with a few complimentary student credits that you can start the process with and get going with and get used to using the credits to add to your students, get them more involved on the paid side of things. For those coaches that are not currently Sportsbox users, we'll provide a special kind of sign up discount, again, as a thank you for joining this call as well. So let's see, no other questions. We can end a little bit early here. Anything else from Edwin, Nick, or Ryan?
We'll post our schedule. If you ever have any questions along the way in the email communication that we'll send out to you, we'll also post our schedule, and that'll have direct access to myself, Nick, and Ryan. And we'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. And we're happy to work with you on any questions, anything that you may have to help drive more revenue to your facility, to your lesson business. And we're very delighted to do anything that we can to make this a really neat experience for not only the coaches, but the students that are coming in working with you. I think I see one more question.
It was a thank you.
Oh,
so
cool.
You're welcome,
Awesome.
Ty. We appreciate that. Okay. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining the call. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to jump on a call to learn about Sportsbox with our team. We look forward to either having you continue with your subscription with Sportsbox or with new coaches coming board in the Sportsbox community. We'll continue to do sales webinars on a regular basis. So look out for more from our team, and we'll go from there. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.